Hi, and thanks for tuning to my channel, Jones Knows. This is Vinyl Flooring Part 3. We're doing the Nucore waterproof flooring from Floor Decor in a health and wellness center. This is the third installment. We're going to do a small recap here. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos. Six boxes open here. So that's how we're blending the boards. Nice light board out here. So now, if I were to use a full here, because I don't like any of the starter colors I would line up my two joints, creating that H joint that we talked about earlier. We don't want an H joint. So, we just need to cut a few inches off. Keep about 12 inches spacing from the end of the joints on those boards. Very, very important for the stability of the floor, just to look good. You always want to have some spacing. So now here we are. We're at our door jamb. It's time to make what I call the money cut, because that's why people pay us to do it. A lot of people, like I say, can handle this, but when they get around corners and around the wall and around these door jambs, that's what makes these jobs difficult. So this is the board we're going to put in the door jamb. Now don't try to make this with one piece across. You're gonna have a difficult time trying to cut around both jambs at once. So pick a piece that in the middle or offset. Set it on top of your last row, just like before. We have our marking board. Now it's tough to mark around the door jamb because it's sticking out. We need to have this board against the wall. And then we want to already cut the jamb. So this flooring, to look good, needs to be under the jamb that we cut. So now we want to put this marking board to the inside of this. So we're going to draw our line so that the piece comes, the mark goes under the door jamb. So, just like we're marking a wall, we're going to mark it to the wall. We're going to mark it to under this. So it's going to be like an angled cut. got our piece. It's the end of cut. It's almost straight. We went a little bit tighter on the door jamb side. That's where the mark was. And we don't want to go extremely tight under it. We don't want to go really tight under the door jamb so that we're wedging it far under. That's not going to allow this floor to expand. We just want to go a little under the door jamb, just enough so that the jamb covers the edge of the board, but not too far under it so that the floor can't expand. This is a big mistake. So now that you have your board cut for the jamb, we know it's not going to go far under. We're just going to put the board in here. This is why we used a half a piece. I'm going to put it in, and then we will slide it under there. Now, what I recommend is taking a scrap piece of flooring, putting it on, using that to tap it down. That is the perfect door jamb cut. Alright, so here we go. Same thing as we did on the other side. We have our flooring board here that we're going to put in. We're going to line it up on top of the previous board with our end where we want the end to be, lined up there on this side of the board. And we're going to take a tracer board, put it to the wall, draw our line, figure out where we want it to go to. So we've got our cut made. You notice we've cut out the section of the board that is basically this wall. We've cut the wall part out of the board. Now, this one we're able to slide the piece under there. We're not going to have such an easy time this time. This is why we get paid the big bucks here, getting these pieces in. Because this is a lot harder than the middle of the room that a lot of people are able to do. First thing we want to do is get the board under the jamb and make sure it fits. What we want to do is lift up on the board as much as we can and pull it in. What we want to do is pull this end in. So we got both ends in. I want to get a handy dandy pry bar. Now, you don't want to cave through the wall. So let's take a piece of the vinyl and put it where the base would go. We're going to stick our pry bar in the edge of the board, pushing down on the long joint where it meets the long joint. So we want to start at one end that's in. From the end that's in already, we have this part already in past the wall. We work our way down a little bit at a time and we're in. Look at that. Look at that. come down to our last row, which is a uneven rip. Alright, so we have our first boards cut and lined up on top of our last row. So this is a double thick here. So what we want to use is a very small board to trace with. By using a small board, it will help us to follow the curve. If I were to use a long board, we would not have as curved of a cut along here. So we want to use a small piece to use to make our mark with. So line it up just like before. Just like before. This will help us mark on somewhat of a curve by being a small board. Alright, so now as you see, we've marked a curved wall basically. And this would apply to any wall that is bowed, crooked, or if you're cutting around even a circular item, a small piece as a marking board with the board on top of the last row is how we mark these type of. Alright, so we have our curved cut. We put it in place. And pretty easy to get in now. We will take a pry bar and slowly work it in. As we work it in, we push it down. By pushing it down, it will lock in place and not pop back out on you. The pry bar will help force it into the joint, and by pushing it down, you'll ensure that it doesn't come back up. Alright, so now you see we've done a room of vinyl. I'm going to fill in these little areas with some of the less desirable boards. Alright, so the job's all done. We're going to just discuss the last item on the menu here. It's how to install these moldings. So we cut the molding to length, but there's a trick. You don't want to see the edges of the floor, so you cut the molding 1/4 inch long, and then you cut off the T-bar so that your molding will actually go over the edges of your floor. So then once you've done that, the only thing you have to do, take away that little metal track that it comes with, take that thing and throw it away. Let's get some construction adhesive. Now you don't want to glue the floor down, but you want to put it to the middle. Notice we don't put it onto the floor side. The middle to the other side, if possible. Create a little saddle of glue. Place our molding in it. Now our edges overlap the floor. Because we've cut the bottom of the molding off, they can go over, so you won't have that space at the end. And that's how we do our molding. And just to finish it off, hang it down. A couple pieces of blue tape. A little bit of blue tape. Tape's more of a reminder not to step on the molding, but to step over it. The glue will actually pull it down. And that's how we install a molding.